So one of the big announcements over the last 24 hours was from Tesla about their new humanoid robot called Optimus. Dr. Jim Fan has a few friends on that team, and he was able to confirm that they did not speed up this video, which it's strange now we have to kind of confirm that, like, is any of this real? So it sounds like they didn't. Now, if you've been following robotics for a while, we've heard a lot of this before. We've been hearing it for many years. Every year, there's some breakthrough of new robots, blah, blah, blah. For a long time, we had these incremental improvements in robotics. But I think recently, the field fundamentally changed because we went from specialist robots that had these pre-scripted movements, to general robots, with robots that can be described as having general intelligence. So Google's robot, the RT2, now the RTX. So it starts out as something that they describe as VLMs, high capacity vision language models. So that's kind of like an LLM. So it's kind of like, let's say, ChatGPT with vision. Now, in this case, obviously, they're not using ChatGPT. They have their own. I believe it started with the Palm models. Then now it's going to the Gemini models. But the point is, it's kind of like a large language model with vision, a vision language model. And then on top of that, they add the ability for it to pilot robots, for it to control robots. So they introduced the Robotic Transformer 2, a novel vision language action VLA model that learns from both web and robotics data and translates this knowledge into generalized instruction for robotic control while retaining web scale capabilities. So what that means is the language model, whether that's GPT-4 or Gemini or Palm, for GPT-4, for example, they've tested it where they would show a picture of the house and ask it to navigate through the house. So they would say, go to the kitchen and make a cup of coffee. You know how when people are staging their house to sell online, they have those 3D walkthroughs where you click on different locations throughout the house, kind of zooms into that next location. So you're able to see each room, kind of like you're walking through it. So that's what the robot is doing. It's sort of saying, okay, now go forward, now go left. It looks like the kitchen's on the right. Okay, there it is. There's the coffee maker, approach the coffee maker, etc. So it's able to think how to navigate certain situations. It knows, okay, to make the coffee, I have to do this. And this thing translates the text in its web scale knowledge into the actual movement of the hands to grasp the coffee maker, whatever. So this is important because before, what was happening is humans were scripting robots to do stuff. Now AI is controlling the robots and making it do stuff. We did a coverage on Eureka, human level reward design via coding large language models. So it's the same team of people that did the Voyager Minecraft AI. So they and the rest of the team, they've put out both Eureka and Voyager, the Minecraft AI. The big breakthrough here is that they managed to teach a robotic hand how to do that pen spinning tricks that you might have seen people do back in high school or whatever, where you take a pen, you're kind of spinning it in different various ways through your fingers. Now, they did it in simulation. So NVIDIA has these sort of simulations where, there's a world that obeys sort of all the laws of physics. So they can simulate our world with our physics and robots and stuff within that world. But, they're able to make the time go much, much faster. And they're able to have many different robots run at the same time, collecting data and training to do better at certain specific tasks. Now, how normally we teach robots to do stuff is we write a reward function. We say, okay, if you're able to do this, you get an attaboy. So for example, if a claw is trying to pick up some objects on the table, every time it's able to grasp it and lift it, we say, okay, +1, good job, right? And humans used to code that stuff and still do for the most part. The difference here, and this is what this Eureka model, kind of like the really big deal, what it's showing is that AI can write those reward functions better. And by AI, I mean GPT-4, like the GPT-4 that you have access to for $20 a month. That GPT-4, if you prompt it just the right way, this is the coding LLM, GPT-4, right? We give it a task description, we give it the environment code, it produces a bunch of sort of samples for code that gets thrown into the Isaac Gym, which is there. So that 3D model that we were talking about, where a million robotic hands go to work trying to figure out how to do something, whether that's pick something up or balance something on our plate or whatever. Some of them are more drone-like flying things with 4 rotors for motors kind of flying stuff around, right? And then we figure out how well they do. We get feedback, and then we tell GPT-4 about how that particular piece of code did. And we're like, here's how well that did. Can you make it better? And then this is kind of a loop that goes around. So GPT-4 keeps spitting out code that keeps getting tested. And all this happens autonomously without human intervention. And guess what they discovered? They discovered that GPT-4 can, using that sort of architecture, it can write these reward functions as well as humans. But And this is where it gets really a little bit bizarre and mind-blowing. So Eureka Evolutionary Reward Search enables consistent reward improvements over time. So reward improvements meaning the code it writes gets these robots to figure out how to do certain physical tasks better and better. It's able to improve its ability to write those reward functions. Eureka progressively produces better rewards that eventually exceed human level. So it gets better than humans by combining large-scale reward search with detailed reward reflection feedback. Eureka generates novel rewards. Eureka mostly generates weakly correlated reward functions that outperform the human ones. In addition, we observe that the harder the task is, the less correlated the Eureka rewards. In few cases, Eureka rewards are even negatively correlated with human rewards while significantly outperforming them. So what does that mean? It means that we as humans, when we try certain stuff, we have certain ideas for how it should work, for what the code should look like. When we try building that code, we're okay up to a point, and then our abilities drop off. Like if we want to code something that, clicks a button every time the button glows red, that's pretty easy for us. But if we're trying to create a reward function for something like this, like a spinning trick, it's very difficult. Our ability to do that kind of disappears after a while. It gets worse. What they're saying here is that Eureka, how it writes the code, is weakly correlated first, meaning it will try different stuff than what humans come up with. And then the harder the task is, the less correlated the Eureka rewards, meaning it comes up with new stuff that the humans can't come up with. And that stuff is better than the human stuff. You might have heard about AlphaGo Move 37. So this was kind of like this big move that really opened people's mind to how good these AIs are, because basically, so it was playing the world champion of Go, Lee Sedol. The AI, AlphaGo, makes this move number 37. And a lot of people notice their reaction. They're like, what is this thing doing? You see, they're looking back and forth. They're kind of confused. They're like, oh, that's stupid. That's a stupid move to make. This AI obviously, screwed up. It doesn't know what it's doing, because that move was viewed by humans, by experts, by the people that play this. So it's like in chess, you have certain moves that we believe are good and certain moves that we believe are bad. So, for example, for openers, we have a set of openers that we believe are good to start the game with, right? And there's certain ones that are bad, that are weaker, right? So in this case, it makes a bad move and everybody's like, that's weird. Why did it make a bad move? What ends up happening is that the AI, AlphaGo, goes on to beat this world champion by a large margin. And that move was, when you approach the end of the game, you realize that was a really strong, really good move. So you can think of it as sort of, it does things that are alien to us, but are better than things that we come up with. So that's what that means when it says Eureka generates novel rewards, meaning that it's new, it's different from what we come up with. And the harder the tasks is, the newer and the more different those ideas are from human ideas. So when it says Eureka rewards are negatively correlated with human rewards while significantly outperforming them, that means that, when we try to do something, we suck at it. And the AI comes in and goes, no, that's whatever you're doing over here is stupid. You got to do it this way. This is the better way. And then, we realize, yes, this is in fact a better way of doing it. And so what this means is that the next 5 years in robotics will not be the same as the last 5 years. What all these people are doing in NVIDIA, this is part of NVIDIA's research team, in Google DeepMind, in OpenAI, and everywhere else, is they're fundamentally changing the approach to how we're building robots. Instead of humans making everything and writing everything, we're creating the neural nets, the brains, that are then able to create better robots than we are able to. And this seems to be producing these fundamental breakthroughs. Now, coming back to Tesla Optimus, I don't know how they're building it. Tesla is not as open about their research as, NVIDIA and DeepMind, etc. Even OpenAI in the past published a lot more stuff. I'm not able to find too many research papers and stuff like that presenting the actual details of how they're producing this, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the stuff that went into this was based in some part or another on similar technology that Google DeepMind is using to what NVIDIA is using. If you think about how quickly they got Grok out, that was very, very fast. It's likely that they already had something cooking in the background. And when they decided to launch a chatbot, they already had a lot of the ingredients, the research, the people to quickly get Grok up to speed and test it and fine tune it, human reinforcement, etc., and then push it out there. And I'll admit, for myself, I've also, whenever I hear, for a while now, when you hear new robotic news, new breakthroughs in robotics, you kind of yeah, that's cool, but it's not like we're going to start seeing robots on the street, soon. And for a very long time, that was true. And I think that this is the last year that that's the case. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more stuff like this out there in reality. I think just like ChatGPT and stuff like that, that was the inflection moment where people are like, oh, AI is here. I think in 2024, we're going to have that same inflection point for robots. We're going to be like, oh, okay, robots are here and we're going to start seeing them everywhere. I don't know. Obviously, since this is more physical, this is, atoms, you got to build everything and stuff like that. It's probably not going to happen as fast as how software happens, but the movement of the hands is absolutely out of this world. Tactile sensing on all fingers. Also, somebody pointed out, it does seem like it leans to one side just a little bit, which I wonder if that was specifically designed that way to make it seem more human-like, less robotic. Because, when we stand, we have to stand for a prolonged period of time. You're probably not standing with your weight equally on both feet. You might kind of lean a little bit to the side on one leg or the other. And it seems here like, notice this line here, it's next to its right leg, right? It's on our left next to the right leg, but then this line comes out near the center of his head. So it seems like he's leaning a little bit, right? To his right. I'm realizing I'm saying he without even considering. I'm not saying it. It's like, no, that's a guy leaning to his right. Look at that. Anyways, Elon, Tesla, as a sign of goodwill, if you guys wanted to send me a model for testing, to get a review, to get my thoughts on and stuff like that, I would be willing to do it completely free, no charge. Send it here and I'll take a look at it. Also, I promise to use it only for its intended purposes. There's a few YouTubers out there. I love them. I love their Tesla coverage, but you know what they're going to do with it. They've talked about it. I promise not to. So yeah, hit me up. I'm happy to help. Just doing my part. If you're watching this, make sure you subscribe because I have a feeling that we're about to hear some insane news within the next couple of days, maybe even today. As I'm recording this, there's a massive AI/machine learning convention that's happening, and people tend to drop big news right around this time. And there's a lot of whispers that we're about to hear something crazy. So don't miss it. Subscribe. My name is Wes Roth, and thank you for watching.